Hello everyone, Maurice. Welcome to Things Invest. Talk about investing, finance, personal development. For today's video, Ethereum only. The investment I'm going to talk about today will be Ethereum ticket ETH. First, just want to say happy Saturday, everybody. Hope you have a great weekend so far. Back to Ethereum as of recording around 9:32 a.m. on Eastern time right now. Currently trading around like the $2,223, up about 4.35% at the moment. And with respect to the pump that we're seeing, in comparison to our foreshadow that we're expecting some sort of weekend affectation this weekend, it seems like it got net canceled out by a positive macro news that came out earlier this morning, or depending on the evening or what time zone that you're in, right? And this article came out specifically from one of the largest investment banks in the world and the largest in America, JP Morgan, which, as we know, Jamie Dimon or JP Morgan previously has been a skeptic towards cryptocurrencies industry. However, in the recent media application, it is believed that Jamie Dimon start to believe in the power of staking, which is a more energy efficient way and frankly more environmentally advocate way of creating and distributing cryptocurrency. So the New York City based investment bank said that in the report that they released yesterday that cryptocurrency staking overall makes the crypto ecosystem more attractive as an asset class, specifically towards JP Morgan. And this is because staking could be a major source of revenue for both the retail and the institutional investors. That proof of stake will become more and more attractive, specifically when Ethereum upgrades becomes completed. And I took a look at the report a little bit to look at a little bit more quantified numbers to back up their thesis, is that the bank also quote that they estimate that staking is currently a $9 billion business in the world right now, and specifically in the crypto economy. And it will subsequently grow to 20 billion following the Ethereum merge that we're going to be foreshadowing going forward. And that could get to subsequent to a $40 billion industry by 2025. So obviously this is a major catalyst, a macro catalyst that's driving a lot of buying pressure across the whole entire crypto industry, the whole crypto market, but more specifically direct to the emphasis on Ethereum. So some of you might ask, like, what is staking? And why is a bank like JP Morgan talking about this all of a sudden, right? So staking, in a conceptual level, is a system in which users agree to lock up the money in a network in order to help it validate transactions, okay? And these kind of crypto network runs on something that's called the proof of stake, which is different than Bitcoin, which is using a concept called the proof of work. And proof of work uses a lot of cryptocurrencies network, right? And they use a lot of these network to basically validate and solve these transactions, right? And what it means by that is that on a conceptual level, Bitcoin uses a lot of computing power, right? A lot of proof of work to solve these complex mathematical puzzles to transact and reward the miners for their respective Bitcoins, which if you apply the proof of work as the basis of creating these Bitcoins and transacting these Bitcoins using a lot of computing powers, which uses a lot of byproducts, us using coal and using a lot of, not the most environmentally friendly energy sources to keep it running, can obviously have a direct correlation to hindering the environment, if you may. So obviously with respect to JP Morgan ESG corporate governance initiative, and at the same time with this relatively attractive revenue opportunity for the crypto industry, but also for JP Morgan's balance sheet specifically. Obviously, Jamie Dimon is going to be a proponent towards it. Obviously, with this news, it serves as a macro influential factor to propelling the overall crypto market to go up, knowing the fact that JP Morgan has been an anti-crypto representations historically, right? Stemming from Jamie Dimon's, lack of support historically, right? But now with this new report, it serves as a strong gravitas across the whole entire market, right? With, JP Morgan as the largest by balance sheet investment banks in the world supporting this initiative and specifically putting a stamp of approval towards Ethereum at the same time gives a lot of momentum, a lot of gravitas for the long-term value proposition of this crypto assets going forward. Definitely in positive, extremely positive news, I would say. I would say this is like one of the best positive black swan news that we've heard in a while. So I'm gonna go through a technical analysis again to see how we're shaking out with respect to the market dynamics going forward. What are the level that we should be risk mitigating going forward, right? Based on this new market catalyst that we're seeing, how should we be dollar cost averaging? How should the weekend affectation be baked out going forward? Knowing the fact that tomorrow is a Sunday, and Monday as well is a U.S. holiday at the same time. So stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. Alright, so moving on to the technical analysis for Ethereum ticket ETH, I'm recording as of 9:45 a.m. on the Eastern time right now. It's currently trading around like the 22222 lucky numbers, I would say, up about 4.26%. And with respect to trends that we're seeing right now, you could see that we, on a MACD perspective, we are relatively stretched at the moment. So is the RSI. We're highly, I would say, we are leaning more of a propensity to be overbought at the moment right now. We still have a little bit more room to run up because of the MACD recently crossed, and you could see the curvature is going up right now, but it's forming some sort of an outlier right now because of the news that we got earlier today from Jamie Dimon himself at JP Morgan, right? So with respect to tomorrow, if we hear more of a neutral news tomorrow or nothing really positive, we should be neutralizing tomorrow, knowing the fact that we have a little bit more of a propensity to go up to the $2,250, but we're not really all the way there yet because you need to go through at least breaking through the walls or going down below the ceilings, right? You do not ever just like go between the lines that I've identified here, right? So I think there's a higher propensity for us to go down to the $2,150. So I would potentially wait off if you want to think about this in a more of a risk averse perspective. But if you think about like buying this for long term, right? Just based on macro level, right? Expecting that the industry will be 40 billion by 2025, and we are only at 9 billion at the moment right now. In terms of green space, white space market perspective, there's a lot of untapped opportunity for this asset going forward. That buying it, at this level would be relatively cheap at a huge discount if you think about this long term, right? But for me, knowing the fact that I've already built a relatively large position now, I would look out for the $2,150, and I would even look out even further into the $2,050 level, which to me is a little bit more substantive, into dollar cost averaging right now, because my dollar cost, my average price right now is relatively low, so I don't want to change that by incurring the by chasing the pump, if you may, or buy emotionally. I want to just look at this based on logics, because I foresee there will be better price points going forward, right? This is a positive media affectation that's macro, but it's more of a long durated macro news that's gonna happen near future, right? It's not gonna be happen like tomorrow, it's all in the sudden. So this is like a slight surge, right? And I would say based on what I see so far, a 4.25%, I think it's kind of a mixed bag between like weekend affectation mixed with this positive news, obviously, right? I think if today was not a weekend, right, I think we should have surged a lot higher than just 4.27% that we're seeing right now, right? We don't know. We might get a little bit more adaptation as the West Coaster wake up a little bit later, right? And maybe as the news gets spread over to the global side of the world, right? This news was only mainly released in the U.S., knowing the fact that J.P. Morgan is mainly a U.S. bank. So it makes sense why the media affectation is like mainly focusing on the U.S. demographic. But as the news gets spread out, and people catch on, we could see a little bit more pump going forward, right? And then subsequently normalize from there, right? So I think we should be seeing some selling pressure, contingent on no more obviously black swan events happening tomorrow, right? We should be normalizing back down to 2,150 again, right? That's a level that we have tested 17 times so far historically, and I've been keeping tabs, right? So as it goes further down, right, the substantive level becomes even more and more consolidated, provides a lot more gravitas for us to sustain that level. That makes it even more and more difficult to crack, right? And 2050, the level, that's a psychological resistance level, right? So how likely can we crack through, firstly, the 17 resistance levels, and then crack down the mental psychological resistance level at 2050, right? I think the likelihood would be relatively low. I don't foresee us to be getting down to these levels here at the 1950, right? I really would love for us to get there because I would love to further dollar cost average and continue to build out my position of Ethereum. I currently have about 50 Ethereum right now. I really aspire to have 100 in the future, right? And I really hope for one of those black swan news. So let's pray, let's hope that the media affectation will be in our favor. Obviously on the negative side, to kind of jerk the market a little bit so we can have a more opportune time to further dollar cost average and build out that position that we all hoping for, right? The risk is definitely increasing right now because of this media affectation. But to risk mitigate is to look at the DCA levels, right? So 2150, 2050, 1950, I don't think we'll actually get there. Give this maybe a 10% probability that we'll get there. But maybe after the summits, that's gonna happen basically a week out from now, right? And we should see some momentum ahead of the week as well because of the anticipatory momentum that we'll be hearing more as we percolate towards that summit and then have that buy the rumors, sell the news type of affectation to sell off from there. All right, just to recap on all the numbers that we have in the technical analysis, I think we might want to weigh off a little bit to the $2,150 level, right? Knowing again, that's the 17 consolidation levels that we've had so far, right? So 2,150, that's a level that you should buy all day, every single day. And with respect to $2,050 level, that's a great level again, because of that mental level that needs to crack through below that $2,000 flat line, right? Likelihood of getting there would be, I'll give that maybe 50-50 to be honest with you. But we are in the business of risk mitigation. I would not chase the pump today, right? I think 2,250 is good, but I don't think we will actually have enough momentum to leap up there because again, we have to adjust the weekend affectation within the equation at the same time, despite this really macro positive news that we're seeing today, right? 1950, I think the likelihood will be extremely low. I give this maybe a 10% probability that we'll get there. But who knows, right? Media affectation is really unpredictable, right? And we know that. But we can only risk mitigate by maneuvering through these, frankly, BS articles and counter by our strategic and analytical purchasing on the right execution of price level, right? That's the way that you could risk mitigate and control your bleeding, but also control your positioning to build that long-term value proposition that you're looking for. Again, corporate adoption 20%, 9,800, 4.6 times your money from here. Alright, so that's it for there. Respect my technical analysis on the Ethereum ticket ETH. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of the weekend. Long weekend for the US folks as well. And you probably hear from me again tomorrow, just to keep you guys more of a live update. Please, let me know if you have any questions or any comments that you'd like me to address or anything that was unclear. Happy to clarify a little bit more. And please stay tuned for next week coming up. Take care.